What is up, y'all? This is JT. Anybody who has this Ridgid vacuum, they know that this tube does not fit on this end. All the other accessories, they fit just fine. This one is just not properly sized and it falls off easy. It doesn't go all the way on. It usually stays stuck like right here on the edge, and then when you tip it, just ever so slightly, it falls off. So, just to demonstrate, as you stick it on here, you can see just a little bit of the opening. Well, that's pretty much, let me shine a light on it. Just a little bit of that. And as far as you can get this thing on here is not far enough. And I can try to show you. But as you push this on, you know, it only goes down so far. Well, then when you start pushing on it to clean your floors, which I use this a lot for, but you push just a little bit downward like this. If you don't get that on there super tight, you can see that it's already it's angled. And so you do it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and eventually, look, now it's almost completely popped off. And then eventually, you know, you're cleaning your floors, and then it pops off, and then rolls halfway down the driveway. And yes, I do have a mess because I've got many projects going. One of those projects includes figuring out what glue to use on your miters for MDF and whatnot. And I've tried some different ones. This one worked that time. And I actually glued a treated piece of wood to a brick with Rapid Fuse by DAP. But we'll get into that in a later video. What I'm going to try to do, and I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try to heat this up ever so slightly with a very hot propane torch. Now, I thought to myself I should use boiling water, but that's what a smart person would do. So we're going to go ahead and do it the redneck way. Okay, so seeing as we're not trying to melt it, I pulled a lot of the air out of it. You don't want to pull too much out because then you'll start getting soot. But just nice blue flame. And then we're going to slowly heat this. Now the slower you can heat this up, the better. Try to get the inside as well. Don't want to heat it up too quickly because this will burn. All we want to do is kind of soften it up a little bit so that we can jam it onto the vacuum. Okay, it's heated up a little bit. Let's go ahead and give it a try. We'll flip this around so we can see. And just for shits and giggles, let's give it a little bit more heat. Try to get that inside nice and hot. And let's shove it on there. Oh, look at that. Shoved all the way on. Now, this would be a nice point in time to have cold water, but unfortunately I don't have any. Oh, I do. I do have cold water. So, just gonna cool that down and remove that as quickly as possible, because otherwise it will fuse. We don't want. I may have done it. Okay, cool. It didn't completely fuse. It tried to. And we may have to do this a couple more times. I think a smart thing would do, or a smart thing would help, is to put some sort of a non-stick agent on here. Anything will work, really. Right off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and say nothing. Water, spit, I don't know. Just anything will work. We'll just do this a couple of times and make sure you don't heat this part up, because if you do end up fusing these together, you're going to void your warranty. But still, in just the one pass, or the one time, it goes on a lot further. And you saw, these are sanding scuff marks, by the way, because I was just cleaning it with like some 220 sandpaper. You can see how much farther that goes on already. And so, there's not a lot of heat left in it. So I think one or two more times with this, and that'll be perfect. But right now, what I'm going to do is get me something to cool it off rapidly. I'll go fill up my water bottle with cold water, and then we'll do it again. Okay, so this time I'm a little bit better prepared. I've got a wet rag, and what I'm going to do is just clean this really well, and also get like tiny bit of water on there. And so right before you slide this on, it might be a good idea to get that wet. So we'll turn our torch back on. Doesn't need to be on very hot, but we'll just clean that off first. Okay, so we got it nice and clean. Try to focus some of the heat into, oh, I just about set my sleeve on fire. Some of the heat into the pipe. Now if you start smoking, you got it too hot. Okay, so when you start seeing it change colors, it gets like a shiny black. That's what you want. So then we're going to set that aside for a quick second, and we're going to soak our pants by wetting this down. And then we're going to jam that sucker all the way on there as far as we can, and then we're going to put the wet rag around it. And pour some more water on it. Now what this should do is rapidly cool down the plastic. And hopefully also, I can see it melting, so we're going to pull it back off with two hands. Okay. Got it pulled off. We're going to stick it in the water. Obviously, we don't have enough water in there. There we go. Now let's test it. Oh, it's still tight. So you may have to do this a couple of times. What it does, you can see it goes on a lot further. Like before, it would literally only go on about that far. So now we've got to go this far. Just take your time, make sure this part stays cool, and just keep going. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple more goes around with it, and then show you what I get. Okay, I've left it on. It's pretty much all the way on. And on the last couple times that I was doing it, it's still a little warm. not hot, but warm, is I was pushing it on, pulling it back off. Of course, you got to twist it while you're doing it, wetting this part, and then pushing this back on, pulling it back off, wetting this part. Hopefully I'm not getting too much water inside, which I am getting a little bit. And let's see if it comes back off. Oh, hold on, my hands are wet. Alright. Oh, it's coming back off. There we go. Really kind of gotta give it a good old twist, but look, it goes back on. Comes back off. Not too bad. So if you can get this to work for you, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe.